What's going on, y'all? Want to welcome y'all back to the Raw Report. And today's guest we got on here today, we got Coach Mike. 20 years in the military. He owns his own after-school program for the youth, Sagacious University. Very knowledgeable man. I'm so happy to get him on the show for y'all so he can teach y'all something about being resilient, because from the struggles and things that I know he's went through to be where he's at now, it's like it compares to no other. So I just want to welcome y'all to the show, Coach Mike. How you doing, Coach Mike?
Hey, what's going on? It's most definitely a pleasure to be back in the present with you, brother. It's been a minute, so it's time to get back after it.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what. Hey, while you was on your sabbatical, if y'all don't know what that means he took some time to rest and tap in with God.
Yeah.
We still got to keep chugging along because somebody got to keep it moving.
Exactly.
So, look, Coach Mike, my first question to you would be: you served over 20 years in the U.S. Army, rising to the rank of major. How did your military experience shape your approach to leadership and resilience, especially when mentoring today's young men?
Man, you know what? It taught me a lot, but before I can give all the credit to the military, I think God made me in a unique way.
Okay.
There's always been this statement of, are you a born leader or you was taught to be a leader? I truly believe I was born to be a leader. I truly believe that just because of the innate how I see things, how I care, and how I've always found myself to be in that type of environment where impact, influence, provoking thought, and pushing to make change for the better. But to answer the question directly, the military, man, it taught me discipline, taught me how to have principles, foundations, and if anything, the military saved my life. I didn't really understand the impact of that until I was 32 years old, and I'm 36 now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like once I started to get out the military and looking back at it, I realized how much it impacted my life. And here's why I say that. So I'm 36 years old. Recently just got out the military. As I was getting ready to transition around 32, I had a chance to have a break, and I just found out that I'm dyslexia, on the ADHD, and then on the autism spectrum. So it was like all these different disabilities I've been dealing with my entire life. Never knew I had them, but yet I still found a way to be successful to where people around me probably would never know or even think any of that thing. And I think the military helped me tremendously with that, with structure and framework. Because during high school, I sucked at elementary, middle school, high school, and college up to before I got into the service. I sucked at school. And it wasn't I didn't know that now. It was always because I didn't even know time management, energy management, or I didn't know how to structure my thoughts. Well, the military put me in a position where I literally learned how to structure my thoughts, because everything's a framework. Everything starts, there's a body, and then it ends. I started to understand that in everything. I felt like it unleashed something that no institution in terms of like school could ever taught me, that type of idea of thinking. So that's something I'm out there to give all the credit to the military, is how the framework and think solution oriented, and not necessarily just let's talk about the problem now. Let's figure out how we're gonna fix this problem.
So you said a couple of things up in there that's like, I'm like, whoa. But let's tap back into, before you even, like you said, don't give all the credit to the military. So you knew you was a leader from about how young, give or take?
I feel like I feel like I always knew it, but just earlier I was shy and quiet and more, and that's the part I think that really plays to the autism, where I was just kind of to myself. It's almost like I was, as Pastor Darius Daniel always say, I was a zebra but I didn't have stripes. I've always felt like that, but because of me growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, they greet you with a insult, and that's a compliment. Hey, what's up, little ugly dude? So growing up in that type of environment, you tend to want to shield back, reserve yourself, because I'm paying attention to, I'm seeing who people, quote unquote, do good or have good things, how they're treated, and how the people who have less than are treated. So because of that, I just, I went the safe route a lot of times. So I didn't speak up or didn't speak out and didn't say a lot. But once I got into sports around about 9, the sports just took over to where I didn't care. I think sports really helped evolve me to be able to be a team leader, a team player, to not be afraid to speak up and take the burdens of trying to lead people. Because when you kids, nobody care about Mike. He trying to do too much. He's a teacher pet. Once I got to sports, I was like, dog, I don't care. We about to do what we got to do, big dog. Let's go.
Right.
So sports most definitely birth kind of help mature and nurture it, and then going through all that, I played sports all the way from when I was from little league, from when I was like 9 all the way to high school until I went to college.
So, like I said, you said so much in that first question answer. Because I would figure that would be later on, but I might well tap into it now. You said, I don't know the name of the actual disabilities, but you said the disabilities that you had to work through. Can you speak on that to help the audience understand that those are not things that have to hold you down?
Nah, absolutely. I think, if truthfully, man, I feel like I don't think everybody has a disability, but I do believe once you have a better understanding of what you're experiencing and going through, you have a better idea of how to manage life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time, especially within the Black and brown community, our people tend to not know what we're dealing with. Because think about it, we all probably had a cousin or something, we all hanging out and everything, and what mama or grandma always say, hey, don't exclude man from playing. Don't exclude Terrence from whatever. Yeah, Terrence might be a little crazy or do some stuff that's impulsive, but you ain't exclude him. So when we grew up, we didn't ever felt that lifestyle of being sheltered or necessary, or excluded. It's just who we are. We just accept, and because of that, that's what I kind of. So I ain't never think I had an issue or felt like that, but I always felt like I was different. Now the things that I knew that was most definitely different was the dyslexia. And so what that is like sometimes when I write, or even when I read, I might write it backwards. So if I say the word Mike, I might write Mike, EKIM, going from right to left versus left to right first. Or I'll misplace a letter in the wrong area. And sometimes it's like that when I read, just seeing words back. And it's still to this day, I've just learned to just take time and be patient, and it'll correct itself. ADHD, I feel like a lot of people got ADHD, and that ADHD ain't necessarily means nothing. Some people try to say you thinking too much, all this type of stuff. No, it just, you have a lot going on, and it's just learning how to bring focus to it. Because, I have some players that they always say, I can't do it. Like, no, it ain't that you can't do it, because I see how you work on these things that you're interested in. So now you got to find how to make this boring thing interesting so you can at least, push through and get into focus and how to manage that. And the autism, I think that one took me off. But I mean, that impacted me throughout my life, and still to this day, just from controlling bladder, controlling motion sensitivity, just being so many different things. So that's a part of why I chose to be quiet growing up a lot, because it was just easier to protect self, and you don't know what I'm going through, than to share it and then you use it against me later. Where now, I'm a 36-year-old man, and I look at life as, man, vulnerability. There's so much strength in vulnerability.
So, my question to you, from what would you advise coaches, parents, people that have to deal with these young men that we see them? How would you advise us to go about helping them? Because we're not therapists or nothing, but how would you advise us to go about helping them try to get some form of clarity with that without being able to diagnose them? Because we know they're going through something, but how do you advise us to put our arm around them to help move them forward?
But I think you got to always start with love first. God says best in the Bible. You got to start with love. That's the biggest factor of anything. I give it to the parents this way. For example, my son, he's on the autism spectrum as well, and he also has ASD. But we was able to catch his and find out about his when he was 2 years old.
Okay.
So because we were able to, have the foresight to do testing and get assessments and all these types of things, we were able to catch it. So I think the biggest thing is just, man, trust God, have the discernment to recognize like that ain't normal. Even though we make fun of things that it seems like that's just man being crazy. Like, nah, we gotta take heed to some things because in reality, like the first time I found out my son had autism, like I cried. I cried like he had cancer or something. Because
Mm-hmm.
at that point I was ignorant to what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started doing the research and going to go understand things for myself, that's when I realized, okay, it's not the end of the world. There are things, and then through that, I found out that there's resources, and I think ultimate, man, you just got to go out there and be willing to go figure out things that you don't know. At the end of the day, there's someone who does know. So how can we find that out? Because I know sometimes people might not have the insurance or the resources to seek this information. That's why I'm part of like my nonprofit. That's a part of our program where we're trying to help with people to either find the resources, the assessments, or the tools that could be available to help make them aware of these things. Because a lot of the players that I work with and students I work with, they don't have no clue, but yet I say something to them, and then they'll look at me like, "How you know this?" I'm like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, let me show you kind of how I know this, and then before you know it, they open their minds. But we had a kid. We just found out that he had dyslexia, and now that he knows he has it, he's doing better in class. Not because he was never not better able had to do it. It just he knew what he's doing with, so now he know how to go around it. So getting them resources is everything, and being unapologetic about it.
And that's like honestly, that's why I believe these conversations that we're having right now is important because if people are hearing what I'm hearing from you, you're dropping so many jewels because a lot of us, like you said, not the ones that we include, but the ones that we overlook. But we all going through something.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
especially the children, us adults, parents, coaches, we have to see when a kid is doing something extra to be able to get the tools, like you
Right.
said, to give to them to help them through the things. If if we could go back to a time and meet the teenage Coach Mike, what kind of young man would we find, and what were the biggest struggles, and what helped you push through them?
Teenage Mike. I still was quiet. I stood to myself, but even though I was a leader, I didn't be a leader until I was in an environment I had to be a leader. So if once it was sports or something, I took care of it. Just social, being around the high school, I'm to myself. But the thing, I was always that guy that was popular, had a a connotation that was put on me that was never of me, like because I'm light skinned, I had long hair with the braids. You talk to girls. Yeah, I talked to a couple of girls, but I was always a loving heart, so I ain't go out there and do like some people say I should have been in life. Um, but I got in all the same trouble as everybody else. Like I've never joined the gang, but I've done the things that you do in the gang. Drive-bys, all this type of stuff. Not things that I'm grateful or proud to speak on, but it's the reality of the situation that I was in. So I was always that guy that was quiet, but was ready for whatever and did whatever. Probably did a lot of things I probably shouldn't did, and I knew I shouldn't done them. But here's something I share with I feel like a lot of people. I hung out with people who I know I shouldn't have hung out with, but I chose to hang out with them because I rather be with them versus than being lonely.
Oh, okay. Speak on that, please.
You
What
know
is
what I
that?
mean?
Yes, because being lonely, it does something to us. But like you said,
Yeah.
speak on
So
that.
like I was out. So I have brothers and sisters. You know, I'm half German. My dad met my mom in Germany, and my father is African American. And but you know, if you didn't know my mom, you'd just think she's a white lady. And so I grew up in that. I have brothers and sisters, but yet they're 15, 16 years older than me. So I grew up technically the only child. So for me, I'm in this big house and I want to hang out and play, but I ain't got no friends or anything like that. So I'll go out there and kind of people please and do things just to, you know, for people to be my friends. And so that's how I end up, you know, having some people in my life that I probably shouldn't have. And it's all really stemming from me being lonely because, you know, I had everything. Mom, dad made sure, you know, had clothes, had spending money, had all the things we needed, but I wanted people in my life. And I had to learn the hard way through some experience, things of that nature, to know that, you know, there's nothing wrong with isolation. There's nothing wrong with being alone, and there's nothing wrong with moving your way because what we thought were considered the cool guys, in reality, man, they not really what they present. So it's just some things you gotta learn through experience. And because if I knew what I knew now, then I'm most definitely probably wouldn't hung out with a lot of people that I did. But I have no regrets because in that day, I feel like with God is very intentional with how He moves and the people He put in and around your life. So I've always been grateful to have good mentors. That's one thing that's been very consistent. I've always had very good mentors in my life. And one of the things, like for example, with me being on the autism spectrum, I could be very obsessive with things and very literal. So that's why I'm grateful for what God put the people in my life because if I had the wrong people in my ear on a constant basis, who knows what else I would have fully went through. So I'm
Wow.
grateful for having some good mentors and even as we would say some good OGs that were
Right.
like, I'm like this ain't for you. This ain't the type of life for you. Like we see things in you, we see promise in you, so we want you to pursue that. So I'm grateful for that, you know.
We need more of them in this world nowadays,
Nah,
bro.
really do. Really
Yeah,
do.
'cause what they calling OGs ain't OGs. So
Yeah.
that's a story for another day. Many young men today feel lost when it comes to their future.
Yeah.
What's the first step in discovering a sense of purpose for the kids at that age that you think?
I could tell you from what I see on a day-to-day basis, a lot of time kids have an idea of what they want, but they haven't done or no one's helping them do the due diligence to understand what comes with what they want.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so like I had a student, we was talking about some emotional stuff, and he literally came to me and said, Coach, how can I fix lust? Now he's 16 years old now.
Right.
How can you fix lust? And I had to break that down to him to a way of where like I need you to see this from this way. You said how to break down lust. That is so broad that even me as a grown adult, I don't know how to do that in the beginning either.
Right.
Because see, we're most people been taught our lust is sex. No, you can lust from there. You can lust for so many different things.
Right.
It's like let's break that down. What are we lusting from? What's the impact of the lust? What like let's break this down into smaller pieces so we can be able to get that clarity. So a lot of time they just have this I want to be a millionaire or I want to make it to the NFL or all these types of dreams, which are good dreams and goals, but they haven't been really to break down like what it takes to get there.
Right. What's the
That
plan?
what really cultivates that, and so that's been one of the biggest things because people know what they want, but I don't think they understand what it takes to go through to get it. And so it's just helping them in navigating through that and break it down. And like, nah, you can do whatever you say you can. You really can, but let's not pretend what comes with it. Let's not, you know, be hypocritical of this and then don't want to acknowledge that because your weaknesses ain't gonna act like they not weaknesses to you.
I would say naive. Let's not be naive,
Yeah.
because that's what it is. They want all this, but what about the
Mm-hmm.
stuff they're not showing you?
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100% on that. So you specialize. I don't know if you know. Well, I know you know this. You specialize in resilience, because, like I
Yeah.
said, it's Toronto report. Resilience gets world. What practical steps can young men take to build mental toughness when they face setbacks, whether in school, sports, or in life? And I asked that question because earlier you said the military saved your life, but then I'm listening at your story. It seemed like before the military, sports kind of saved your life too.
Yeah. I agree with
So,
that.
so uh, what kind of mental toughness can them, when they face setbacks in the school and the sports and the things, to just keep persevering and being resilient moving forward?
I think the biggest thing that really helped me, even when I was in high school or even in elementary, is that I always felt like I knew I was going to be bigger or better than what presented in this moment. And because I had that mindset, I think I allowed that to be my foundation of truth. So even though I might have a bad day or going through a bad experience, I always knew better was coming and better will be. So because of that, it gave me that pretty much that mindset for myself to know that we're going to be able to push through in spite of whatever it may be. Um, each person is different when it comes to managing toughness. I think the biggest thing is, like, at an early age, I didn't know who I was, but I knew enough to be able to know this ain't it. And so it's just recognizing what you do know, because sometimes it's easy to get lost in what we don't know or don't understand versus paying attention to what you do know and what you can do. And so that's why I champion them to, like, let's focus on what we got already. Let's focus on what we can do right now and how can we make the best of that in the moment to be resilient, to push through.
And I think you said something important a while back. I thought you was finna tap on it right there too. Mentorship, coaches.
Yeah.
Make sure you tap in with them, because even as kids, we all know we've met that coach or that mentor, and we connected with them, but we don't lean into it. You know what I mean? Like, you knew that was a coach. He looking out for you, and you got a connection, but you don't go to him and be like, can you do this? Ask questions. That's basically what I'm saying. Ask that coach or mentor questions, even if they're not your coach or mentor yet. Ask questions anyway.
Yeah. From my own personal experience and from what I'm seeing on day-to-day basis with kids and youth now, is I feel like a lot of people don't do that because it's a learned or taught behavior.
Ooh, okay.
Because like, we always been taught to, like, not talk to strangers, not provide all this information, or don't give too much or anything like that. So now seeking people to help make me better feels weird, feels uncomfortable. So a lot of times they won't do that because they're nervous or afraid to say the wrong thing.
Wow, that's good there,
So
Coach Mike.
it's not that they don't want to be mentored. Sometimes they don't even know how to ask for mentorship. So a
Right.
part of our program is to help them, like, no, this is how you communicate. Because some of the people we have in our class, they're athletes. So at some point they're gonna have to talk to a recruiter to get on the team. Like, you
Right.
gotta know how to present yourself. You gotta know how to have a firm handshake. And so a lot of time, because they haven't been taught those skills at home, they doubt their ability or immediately put themselves to, like, he ain't gonna do that for me. He don't have time for me. And so
Oh, okay.
about things that you haven't even given, you already took your opportunity from you without even
Well, you trying.
You know what I mean?
Limited mindset, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then I think the other part to it is you're spot on. Like, those mentors I had in my life, even to this day, man, just as Pastor Daniel always says, they gave us speed. Like, I was able to learn so much without having to go through so many things.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So, like, that's so powerful to be able to know where, like, I can use you as an example to help me to navigate so I don't have to go through that. You know what I mean? I feel like a part of my testimony of the things that I've been through is to be able to share to others, hey, what you still can push through in spite of what you're going through. So it's just trusting the people around you, and it's a trust factor, because like here in Memphis, crime is real, to where you, like just the other day, 11-year-old got killed carrying switches and being part of things and trying to do a robbery. So it's like they're getting tapped into the streets at a very way early age than probably I ever considered. And
Wow.
so
That's sad.
it's really just trying to get their mindset to understand, man, there's so much out there. I think the biggest thing is wrapping our arms around them and let them know, like, look, you've been forced to know, you gotta go to college, bro. You ain't gotta go to college, but we gotta figure out something though, and there's other things out there. So let's talk about it. And but to make a long story of what I said, I think the biggest thing is just people don't seek mentorship because either they embarrassed to, they're too afraid, or they don't, for some reason, they don't see themselves the way others might see them.
And just to piggyback on what you said, I think you're 100% correct. I think, and I'm saying this now for anybody that's listening to us, coach to coach, me and Coach Michael, both coaches, come tap in with us and use us as a roadmap so you don't have to go through the things we went through. We're trying to give you a bridge to somewhere, wherever that is for you. But we're trying, come use us as a roadmap. That's all I'm saying. So my next question to you, how can a young man develop the ability to stay calm and make smart decisions under stress?
So without being coach, mentor, or training, a lot of them, they just do what they've been taught or what they've seen. So then once I start seeing that, how they manage it, I can immediately determine, not judgment, but what type of environment they might be in when they go home or not.
Okay.
Based off how they handle situations. And then once I gain that, then I'm able to assess and train that person what works best for them. Because there's no one cookie cutter, this solution works best for you. Because I have people who respond to being yelled at, and I have some to where you got pulled into the side and kind of have a little heart-to-heart, one-on-one chat to be able to manage that. So it's really one, picking up their tendencies and how their emotional temperament is to handling chaos. And then once we identify that, put them in them stressful environments so that they can, because a lot of times they don't know what they can do until they're in that situation or go through that type of stuff. Because like when I was in the military, we used to call it, having peace in the midst of chaos. You're getting bullets shot at you, but yet I'm in a leadership position. So how do I actively getting shot at, but still tell the people to my left to do what they need to do, people to the right execute, people in the rear. Still got a lot of moving pieces, still got things to go on. So I can't just fluster and, oh my God,
Right. Fall apart, everything fall apart.
In the day, we're not denying that whatever the situation is might be a stressful or a scary situation. But you got to understand, it's a time and place for everything. And it's a time and place to figure out how the best way to do that. And it's teaching them that. So like a lot of times we just use different training exercises, whether it's how you react to just this dripping water, to all these just different scenarios that we might put people in, so that way they can manage that. Because in the day, it's one thing to know emotional intelligence. It's another thing to have emotional awareness, and that's of people and that's of yourself. Because if you don't know how you manage your emotion, you don't see how you can now be a part of the problem for the greater good of people. Let's use football, for example. Made a bad play, you now go be a hothead on the sideline. You being a hothead on the sideline, who's looking at you do that too? And who are you now telling that is okay?
Okay.
Because a lot of times people be thinking you got to be considered a leader for people to look at you, and that's not the truth at all.
Right.
You don't have to be in a role, but people might see something that you do that's inspiring, influential, or they just like what you do, and they see you doing it. Either confirm that they don't confirm you might be the person for them, or show, if he's doing it, then I know I can't do it. So putting these people through the test and not being afraid to challenge them is so important. So important. And that's the only way I know how to do it, because it's I live by a mindset, we're gonna crawl, we're gonna walk, and then we're gonna run.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it goes back to the framework. That's the framework. So if we're teaching, we're gonna figure out how we baby step this thing. Then how we get into that bow-legged walk that you do. And now we full-fledged running around. And through that method, it tends to be better of just getting them to bear to face their fears, getting them to overcome. We had a young man beginning of the year. He would not talk. He was shy, but now he's like, let's go. And that's only because I'm putting him in uncomfortable situation, but embracing him with love. Like, I know this uncomfortable, but now he's like, Coach, I thank you. You got me thinking. You got me moving. So it's like consistency is everything with the intentionality.
I love that you said that, because basically what I heard you say was we need to start putting these kids in positive stressful situations so they can get some experience with it.
Absolutely.
To be able to overcome it. I love that.
No, absolutely, because I say this and we go next. This this just may be me, but I feel like there's a level of suffering that's required to help build character.
Okay, can you expound on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, all right, we can just use if I didn't go through some of the things I've been through, I don't know if I would be the person who I am today.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So, like I've been through 5 surgeries in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
In the midst of me going through those things, never did I ever think I was going to start a nonprofit or going to do all these things. But me going through that level of suffering that I've been through, it birthed something else.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So now putting them in an environment where, yeah, they're going to struggle, they're going to suffer, they're going to go through some hardship with this. But as you said at the beginning, it's with love, it's constructive criticism, and it's propelling them into the better direction, to where now we're using the suffering in a better manner to groom and cultivate care, to unleash things that once used to be afraid, they're not afraid, to ultimately now find that in the day they was extraordinary the whole time, and they just haven't been looking at it like that, and that's now being able to see the extraordinary in the ordinary.
I love that. Ooh, that's so good, because when you're dealing with young men, I think a lot of us overlook that part, because that's actually the real personal developmental work away from the sport itself. Yeah. This is just what you're talking about, is the stuff they can take with them when they go home.
Absolutely.
So that's very good. How can a young man develop true confidence without falling into ego-driven thinking?
I feel like the young men that can build confidence or have confidence without getting an ego driven, I feel like who your circle matters. Who's the people around you matter. To know that, one, you have people around you that tell you the truth, that celebrate you, but also, remind you of who you are and what you're not too. But in a place of love. I think the other thing too is just continue to have good friends around them, good mentors around them. That's a good sounding board. Because at the end of the day, we need advisor boards to be able to validate our emotions. As we grow and develop, we also going to change a little bit of who we are and what we are to an extent. So we got to continue to have the advisor board to kind of help validate, am I going too much? Am I going not too much? The other thing is having self-solitude. Like I mentioned earlier about the loneliness, I'll be lonely, but when I'm in them times when I'm by myself, I wasn't doing nothing to edify myself. You know what I mean?
No skills, no nothing.
It was not. Since I'm lonely, let me just sit here and ponder about why these emotions feel this way. I just go find some other stuff to do. So it's learning that it's okay to be by yourself, and if anything, you probably gain the most when you're by yourself Dealing with
That's
yourself. But you know, young men ain't trying to think about that. They trying to play Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto and go chase girls, right? So, but it's still putting it in front of them. Like I teach classes that I know for a fact that majority of the class they are probably bored, right? And I'm okay with that because I understand I can't reach everyone, and I can't support or save everyone. But the ones who are paying attention, they're taking note, and you're seeing the difference in them. To where now the people who wasn't listening, they're now coming out. What was you teaching about? Because it's a fad where people just think because it's cool or it seems fun that means it's right. But it's like, no, some of the things that makes you better is the most boring things ever.
most things that make you better are boring.
You know what I mean? Because it's a level of commitment and sacrifice. So I always have to remind them when it comes to this confidence thing. Like, all right, you say you like that, you want to be him, you that guy. Cool. So soon as something comes up, I'm ready to hold them accountable. Man, that you don't seem like you him today.
That's good. That's
Because
good. They need to hear that though.
I got it. I hold on. It's with love. I see you, but dog, you just had another donut. It didn't work that day. You know, hey,
Right.
it's all right. But it's with love because in the day, it's like these kids they don't know what confidence is right now. Like they know they have confidence, but some of it is a lot of a facade. It's fugazi because they just don't want to be the laughing stock of the group.
So most of it's ego.
Yeah, a lot of it is ego driven. So now
Wow.
that's what I'm trying to paint to them. Like you can do that, but in the day, I've been teaching them a lot to like not stop giving benefit of the doubt and pay attention to the fruit.
Okay. Even at a young age.
Even at a young age, because I mean these young kids still do enough to know where he just talks a lot. He's loud, he's obnoxious, he say all these things, but he ain't showing up. And I was like, you guys see that. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. That doesn't mean he's evil. It doesn't mean any of those things. But at the same time, he says he's an apple tree, but you see oranges. Pay attention.
Right. The person, like you said, whatever they telling you, they go tell you. You just got to pay attention.
So I think the biggest thing in terms of confidence that we're really working on is one, putting them in an environment to one, understand who they are. One of the things we did do is do the 16 personality trait assessment with them, where we literally had all of them take the test, or take the assessment, and then after we broke down what that means to them. They were so amazed at how spot on their personality is at their point, and to the point of like some of their weaknesses. So once we identify that, then now it's okay, how can we challenge that? And what we've been doing, incorporating, is the different like worksheets that's very intentional to force them to write on things they wouldn't write about, but they know they have to turn it in. So they got to do something. And they know I read them, so they know they can't just put some crap, because I'm going to read back to them. And I share it with their parents.
Right. Okay.
So it's a forcing function to kind of help, like, look, I know this is uncomfortable what I'm asking you, but at the same time, let's get it out of your head and put it onto some paper. So then when we at midterms and towards the end of the program, we can reflect on to see, like, when we say confident, what does confidence really look like? Because I know what you show me. Well, on this paper, you're showing me your confidence.
Right.
You're showing me your due diligence. Because what I've what I've learned to see that works best is putting them in forcing function predicaments or environments that show them instant results back to them. That they're either, yes, they're good at what they say, or they're not as comfortable with what they thought they were. And I like to have an environment where everyone's there, because now everybody's becoming each other's version of a teacher in the room. Like, I didn't know you went through that. So now we're building camaraderie and esprit de corps, because like now you have something else that y'all can relate on that y'all probably never even knew about until we made you have this conversation. Wow. And I think through that, they realize, like, all of them are going to say, yeah, I'm confident. Well, majority of them will say they're confident. But now I have a lot more where they're confident, but maybe they now better recognize I'm confident in education, but maybe I'm not that confident in my ability on the field yet. And that's what I just want them to know, is like how I just said, yeah. I love that. Keep saying yeah, because someone be quick to say I can't. And I was like, don't say you can't, just say I can't yet. at least that yet gives power that where you're working your way to that. Just
Right.
saying I can't completely, you whatever you can or can't do, you're right.
If you tell yourself you can, you
You
can.
know,
If you say you
so
can't, you can't. You
yeah,
said it.
yeah,
But look, you said something a while back, earlier in the statement, when you was talking about picking your environment and circle of friends. What advice would you give to young men that's trying to build a strong circle of influences, or circle of people that? Because when you're young, everybody seem cool.
yeah,
Everybody ain't for you.
yeah. That
So,
that that's why I was saying earlier. We've been teaching them about like a class that we taught last week was the class from Pastor Darius Daniel about the 5 types of people you can't help.
oh wow, okay, I got you.
Like we're teaching them these types of things now, so that way they can kind of identify. Because here's the truth of the matter: majority of the young men and some of the women, they're oblivious of what's in front of them, and they're not really recognizing that the people around them are just it's their representative and not truly themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to teach them how they can pay attention to the representative and realize, okay, if that's what I'm being shown, then I know that's not the truth, and it's already have to pay attention to that. And then the other thing is teaching them about love and what love means from different perspectives and different angles. Because what I've also been experiencing and learning through working with people in the military and now with the youth is that love is so different to everyone and based off what they get love from in their environment. And so sometimes we got to help them understand that you don't know how to receive love, because the people who love you, you push them all away or you shit on them, and then you go hang out with people who treat you like crap, but yet you
You
accept
think that's love?
because you want to be cool, and that goes back to how I was. So
Right.
it's like understanding what true love is, understanding the type of people you can't help, and then today is a lot different. I think when me and you was at school, because you have bullying, but bullying is on a different, it's different than what we went through type stuff. Like, and
I would say this bullying can follow you home. See, back then, you deal with your little bullying in school, you go home, you get at least a little piece till you go back to school. Now, social media,
yes, see, so that's why it's so different to where now, where when they deal with it, stuff come up on the internet, and now you get this, and depending on how it goes, now you got however many people that's now either liking or
it's dragging
commenting.
your blood. Oh,
So it's different. So I just try to give them awareness. Like, it's not that you can or cannot do whatever it is, but too much of anything is bad.
anything.
Too much of
100%.
anything is bad, and I advocate that to them to make sure they understand that, to know that, and be, because the biggest thing, my end goal in our program is to just have holistic people that are ready to add value to our communities. And that's starting with mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. So we're talking about things that I know some people, I could tell that they're getting good grooming and stuff in the home, kudos. But I have more who, man, they got to work too just to help pay the bills. So it's like because they're in that type of dynamic, they ain't got time to deal with these things. So it's like I'm putting them in a position to figure this stuff out, because if we don't get it now, man, it's just going to be a little harder. Not impossible. It's going to be harder as they grow up, and I want to help them with that.
You know what I love that you've been saying through this whole interview? And kudos to you for this. You've been making sure you've been speaking on love. It's like love is a lost art. And I love that you're speaking on it, because most men these days assume it's nothing. You can't do nothing without love. If you don't have love in your art, love in your work, love in your family, love in your relationships, you truly don't have anything. So it starts with God, then love. So I appreciate you for saying that. As a retired military leader, basically at the core of what you do, or why is integrity such a game changer for young men and how they build their daily lives?
I feel like integrity is credibility.
Okay.
It's like teaching them to understand the impact and the importance of it. You know, how we grow. Damn, I'm about to get in trouble for this little white lie. Like it ain't the point of the white lie. It's more of like, what did you gain from doing it? And then
Nothing.
did you accomplish whatever you said you were going to do from this? And was that worth now what you're going through? So it's really just painting the picture. Because in the day, these people get frustrated on a regular basis. So I'm not here to come and be a drill sergeant.
Right.
I'm here to come with a place of love, but stern and firm and with structure, but to make them aware of like, all right, you can treat people that way, you can, but the odds you gaining really what you desire, you're probably not going to get it. So having integrity is everything. Like if I put you on a task to go accomplish this task, and I leave away, and then you come back and you do that, you didn't have to tell me. You just show me I can't trust you.
Right.
So to have someone to be able to say I trust you, that's powerful. That's meaningful, and bringing back the value of that. Because again, like I said, there are some environments where trust has been broken at an early age and broken to the point where they don't know how to trust, or even how to let people trust, to where they don't trust that people got their back.
Right.
Because they're so used to being deflected, neglected, and abused. So it's like it's a yin yang. So, but like we did a class with showing integrity, but when we talk integrity, instead of teaching her like about how showing up when no one's around, or instead of about not lying, cheating, stealing, things that ain't no truth, we use integrity in the terms of a project. They had to build something up, and then we had to be able to take a piece away and have that one piece, because this piece was broken or removed, how it affected overall building, the construction.
Right.
And I taught it in that lens to show like that's still integrity. Because if you're choosing to lie, you're choosing to manipulate, you're choosing to do all these other things, you're still you're removing the integrity of who you are. So you're never the best function, foundation, or person that you could be until your integrity is all the way what it needs to be.
That's some good work right there, bro. You hit it on the head. Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more question, but then I'm gonna do some rapid fire if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
How this is not rapid fire. This is a question. How has your faith, family, and life played a role in shaping your mission of today and your philosophy behind the Sagacious University?
It's all over it. It's all over it, man, because I didn't grow up in a church family. Like my mom German and she was Catholic, but she didn't raise me that way. When she came to America, she was too busy trying to learn English and everything. So, I don't speak German. I know nothing but bad words.
Okay.
But, and my dad, he didn't go to church. So like me being a man of faith, that didn't really start coming until 2017. And at this point, I'm probably like 5 years into my marriage at this point. And my wife, she coming from a background of going to church and all this type of stuff. And she used to want me like, hey, like, when you gonna be the man of the house and lead us in this area? And I was like, and that took something, that was big. I looked the same way you look, but I had to eat that because I realized like I wasn't being but I didn't know how to be that.
Right.
And then I went through my own little situation. Well, I feel like I've always believed in God, but I didn't have a relationship with God. In 2017 is when I built my relationship. And once I started building that relationship, from then on to now, it's just been a beautiful sanctification journey of just getting better, getting wiser, gaining the understanding, and that there's nothing that I can do that I can't have God be the foundation of any of it. And so because Sagacious, all it stands for is all knowing and wisdom.
Okay.
And so all the whole purpose of Sagacious is to just help people get wisdom. It's not saying I'm the wisest person. It's just to gain wisdom, to be how to use these life principles and life skills to be able to take advantage of life to the fullest, to live to the fullest that you have intended to be. And that's driven through my faith. So like I feel like Sagacious is my ministry. I might not be in the pulpit. I might not be, doing different tours and stuff. But yet, me speaking to these young men, women, or even the adults, like if every time I'm with them, I'm praying to God, let me have the Holy Spirit. Use me as a vessel. Because in the day, what we've created, it ain't about me. It ain't about bringing in some money. It's literally about how can we edify, encourage, and grow the kingdom. And that's through just making good people. And all our curriculums are spiritual based, are biblical based. So, when we talk about, say for example, self-doubt, we use, I might not say the biblical scripture in the lesson, but it's tied to that, to where when they was talking about in the wilderness coming from Egypt, and they was like they are like giants to us. That's self-doubt.
Yes.
They already. So now I'll teach a lesson around that. So everything in our curriculum is biblical based, is spiritual led, and then how I'm talking to you is how I talk to them. Like if I feel like it's a moment, hey, man, God is good, and we're gonna share and express. Because in the day, I want to show that it's okay. Like today and age is so much better because now you see more people who serve God or believe in God, but look cool doing it.
Yeah.
That wasn't like that when we were.
No, it wasn't.
So
You're
like
right.
anytime I get a chance to just give God the glory and edify His name and do that, I do that with them, and we have fun. While they're working on worksheets, I have gospel rap playing in the background, just to put them on different things that they never heard. To where now they're like, hey, coach, hey, what was that song? Can you play that again? So man, God is all over it, and I'm so grateful for it. But it wasn't nothing but God that got me to this point. Cause like I said, never did I ever think I was gonna start my own business, a nonprofit. Nor did I ever think I'd be working with the youth. I always just thought I was gonna be a coach, coaching men and women, which I am, and I enjoy doing it. But I'm getting fulfilled with helping the youth, because now I take it personal and with honor and pride of like, we are a vessel to help cultivate the next generation, the next leaders, and all that type of stuff. So man, it's such a privilege to do it. It's such an honor.
If nobody, I'm gonna give you a couple things. First off, I appreciate and thank you for your vulnerability. Like you've been so vulnerable through this whole interview, and I just want to tell you I'm proud of you, because if ain't nobody had told you that, I want to tell you that, because I want to give you your flowers now, because you're doing the work. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talk about it, but you're doing the work. So I'm proud of you for that. Stay aged. And I know it don't mean nothing coming from me, but I'm just trying to tell you, somebody, you need to hear it too. And I know that, because I knew how to do
it. I need it.
So you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
All right. One book every young man should read.
Emotional Intelligence by Dr. Darius Dane.
One daily habit that leads to long-term success.
A morning routine.
The biggest myth about leadership that young men need to unlearn.
That is about you.
A quote or mantra that got you through the tough times.
I'm built for this.
Amen. If you can give your 16-old self one piece of wisdom, what would it be?
You're stronger than you know.
You're stronger than you know. I hope y'all hearing, hey, this man is on here dropping knowledge. Okay, a couple more questions and I'm gonna get you out of here. If a young man listening to this right now feels like he has no direction, what's the first small action he should take today to change his future?
Write it down on paper and get it out your head first.
That's so important. That's a great step. Get it out of your head. All right. For the parents, teachers, coaches listening, how can they best support young men in their journey, growth, resilience, and leadership? What can the parents, teachers, and coaches do to support these young men? Because right now, I'm asking that because I see a lot of them, they're bickering and fighting with young men because it's a lot of testosterone there. And you just don't want, how can he support them?
Start with love, always with love. And just because it means love doesn't mean discipline don't come with love. Mm-hmm. When God disciplines us all the time, He loves us. You know what I mean? So start with love, and then what I'm going to say is not easy, but once you can understand it, it is a real art. Is understanding the fine balance of when you're fussing and forming.
Ooh.
What I mean by that is like there could be a time where we allow whatever the situation to rep us up so much to the point where we just fussing and nagging at the part, and it doesn't fix the problem no more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's a fine balance to another time where it's just like, just stay what it is and then move on and let that be what it is, because the longer you just fussing at them, at this point, there's one ear out the other. They just know this what comes with it. It's not fixing it. It's not healing anything. But when they see you, like one thing I did with my son, he got in trouble. He didn't clean up his mess, and instead of me, yell, whooping, punishment, all that, I'm like, okay, cool. I went and got his cousin. I paid his cousin $10 to clean his room. So that was $10 he supposed to get for something he's supposed to do. His cousin got. We ain't never had that issue again. So it's just finding unique ways to how you can build resiliency, but all of it don't have to come to some of the things that we've been through. And what I realize is that each person are going to be who they meant to be. Like my son, he's named after me. He looks like me, and his mannerisms, he acts like me, but he is his own person. He got to identify his own name. And so I can't put what my mom and dad been through with me, all of it, onto him, because in it, he's still his own person. We live in a different time and age. Things are processed and stuff. These kids learn quicker than what we, they have access to resources way sooner than we did. So we got to up our game. We gotta adapt to this new lay of the land of how things are, because social media is a thing, internet is a thing, all these things are things. So that means it's other ways to now we gotta have love, we gotta have other ways of supporting, and other ways to be able to discipline.
Okay, well, once again, I want to thank you, Coach Mike, for coming on the Raw Report. Hey, I hope y'all got some jewels from him. So, Coach Mike, tell us, where can we find you? Where can the people connect with you? Your social medias? What you got going on?
All right, so it's a twofold thing. So Sagacious University is our coaching and consulting firm where we do life coaching, strategy consulting, and career professional development, and then leadership development as well. And that's in Sagacious University. That's our business LLC. And then we have Sagacious Academy, which is our nonprofit, and it's a personal and professional leadership development for the youth and emerging leaders. And that's where we focus on leadership development, teaching them how to be, leaders of self first before they can ever be leaders of others. But then also teaching emotional intelligence, physical fitness, and then lastly, entrepreneur endeavors, where we're also trying to help them figure out how to get money, how to gain access, things of that nature. Everything you can find on sagaciousuniversity.com.